your interview today. What role did interscholastic sports play in your life growing up?
Well, I was a soccer player to begin with, so interscholastic sport, I was involved with it as a youth. So I played in high school, I played in college. So as a player, it helped a whole lot for me to gain the knowledge that I need to gain for my refereeing part. So later on, when I became a referee, I was using all of the skills that I learned from playing the game into my refereeing and my knowledge of the game background.
What made you decide to become an official?
Well, as I mentioned, I was a former player, and when I played at the University of Missouri, I broke my tibia and fibia, and while I was recovering from the injury, my professor at the university, Dr. Warder, he said, you know the game, and why don't you help us by becoming a referee? So really, literally, it was by accident. I had this accident, and it opened the door for officiating for me. So I started refereeing, and I enjoyed doing the games from a youth level, from the U10s and U12s all the way to the later on high school and then college, and moving on to the adults and professionals and eventually international soccer.
So that was definitely an accident that worked out for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's incredible when something like that happens. At that moment you are very sad, and you look at it with the really negative outlook, and you never know that something that was so painful and not so good at the time opens doors that later on will take you to the World Cups and Olympics and many more tournaments.
That's amazing. I had no idea that that's how you kind of got your start. That's an amazing journey. I really had no clue, and that's to me, that's motivational in itself. It's just because you get dealt one hand, you just have to learn how to play it differently. And you answered this a little bit, but if you could go into a little bit more detail, when did you realize that officiating was something that you really wanted to do for the rest of your life?
Well, when you start, refereeing, you're nervous, you are not comfortable with it, and you're just doing game by game, and you're continuing moving forward. And after a while, once you get a little bit of experience, a little bit of confidence, and again, having played the game, having coached the game, helped a lot. And now you feel comfortable in the matches, and now you have interaction with players, or they come in after a game and say, well, that was a great job, but that was a good game. Thank you for being here. And now, before, if I get the pleasure from giving from playing, when I scored a goal, I got that same pleasure by giving the right advantage at the right moment, and now the players score, and you were part of that movement. So the more you do it, the more enjoyable it becomes, and you get hit by the bug, and it's like, this is something I want to do, and I still going strong after all these years.
That's amazing. How many years total has it been for you?
Well, I started when I was 24, and I'm 68, so you do the math. That's about 44 years.
That's amazing. Yeah, once it gets in your bloodstream, it's kind of hard to get rid of, that's for sure. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing to have in your bloodstream.
Right.
So what is your most memorable moment of your officiating career on the pitch?
Well, on the pitch, it has to be the World Cup game in France, where everybody's talking about it, even 20 some odd years later, the match between Brazil, Norway, where I called a penalty in the last minute of the match. And for me, it was a stone cold penalty, not a problem. But the problem was that none of the TV cameras picked up the angle. And for the next 36 hours, I was the most incompetent, corrupt, the cheating referee that they could have ever found, and this and that. And I had no idea. And thank God for the camera angle that came from behind the goal. 36 hours later, I was vindicated, and I went 180 degrees from one of the worst to one of the best. somebody who had the X-ray vision and, should be given the World Cup final and, best games and all of that. So 36 hours of agony and pain, but at the end of the day, it turned out for the best, because even to this day, when I go anywhere around the world and, they talk about 98 World Cup in France, that's something that everybody brings it up. And, FIFA has done a video on this, on the incident and how it happened. The Referee magazine picked it as one of the top calls, in not just in soccer, but all sports. So, it probably has to be that.
That's a pretty good selection, I would say. I remember that from the referee article, and it's definitely memorable, not just for you, but I think anybody involved in officiating. What's your most memorable experience as it relates to officiating, but off the pitch?
Well, off the pitch, it probably has to be getting inducted into the U.S. Soccer National Hall of Fame. And this was something that just happened a few weeks ago when my dear friend, Dr. Joseph Machnick, broke the news to me. Actually, it was a surprise because the chief executive officer for Colorado Soccer, Nate Schatz, told me, Esse, we need to have you on a Zoom call. This is about ODP, and, in case there's questions about the rules and, this and that, we want you to be on this call and to shed some light. So, I'm thinking nothing of it. So I'm on this call and there's few people and I don't know them. And I think, okay, they're probably, with the ODP, so I have no idea who they are. And then Joseph Machnick comes on and I'm like, okay, why is he here? And maybe it's because, maybe he also knows the laws of the game. Maybe they want to ask him too. And that's when he broke the news to me that, I've been inducted into the Hall of Fame, and the ceremony will be in May.
Congratulations. When I heard the news about that, I was so thrilled. No one deserves it more than you. That was just an incredible honor. And I love the fact that they tricked you on the phone call. That's a great story in and of itself.
Yeah, they sure did.
Well, it got you on the phone under false pretenses, but I guess that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to veil the truth a little bit, especially when it's for good news. So if you were talking to a newer official and that individual told you that he or she was about to quit officiating, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that before you quit, let's have a mentor, let's have a coach come and see you. Why is it that you want to quit? Is it because of the sideline behavior? If that's the case, we can have people there to curtail it. We can talk to the coaches. We can ask you to call the game. Don't do it. Nobody needs to go through abuse. If somebody was hurling that kind of abuse at a 14, 15-year-old, that's against safe sport. And we cannot have this. This is mental abuse of younger people. So let's find out why. If it's something that you got into it because of money and now you really don't want to do it anymore and you don't like it and all of that, I totally understand. But if it's other factors that we can help you, stay with it. It makes you a better person. It makes you a stronger person. And at the end of the day, if you want to continue with this now, especially in soccer, what's happening, whereas before it was not a career type of option, but now it can be a career option. So there is a lot of positives, and let's see if the positives can outweigh the negatives.
How important is it to have mentors as an official? And what words of wisdom would you have for individuals who serve in the role of a mentor?
It's extremely important. I would not be here today where I am if I did not have the type of people that came along and helped me. I talked about Joe Machnick. I can talk about Gino DiPolito. I can talk about Herb Silva. My fellow friends and referees that we worked together, from Brian Hall and Kerry Seitz and Sandy Hunt, where we would do a game, and after the game, we would still sit down and hash and go over the game. So for me, every referee that you work with is a mentor, because they are teaching you something. Either they do something that you don't like, so you say, no, I will not do this. Or they do something positive and you say, this is great, I want to do more of this. So mentors really are coaches, and they help us. And the official mentors, the ones who help us, be invested, really be invested in the success of your mentee, because you're like the coach of a team, that when the team wins, you win. When that player scores a goal, you feel the honor and the celebration as well. So when you're mentoring a young kid and they go on and become a referee who makes it to the professional leagues or international, you know that you had a little bit to do with it, and that's a celebration. So be invested in their success.
I love that answer. That's so good. I think it's sometimes difficult in officiating because it is competitive. So sometimes it's difficult to cheer for those who are succeeding, and it does take a little bit of humility to be able to do that. So I love that answer. That was fantastic. What was a failure that you had in officiating that you look back at and realize that it really did help you long term?
The failure in officiating, that I would say, if I don't love it, I should not do it. And there were times where I really were not enjoying it for whatever reason. Maybe it was monetary, maybe because I went to a game and they gave me something that I thought it was not equitable or fair for that level of match. And maybe I went in with a little bit of an attitude, and it was not fair. So it's either don't take it, or if you're going to take it, give it all with passion and with love, and don't do it for the money. Do it because you love to do it, and the more success you will have, the more monetary will come. It will follow you, but don't let that be your motivating factor.
What do you find to be the most rewarding aspect of officiating?
The camaraderie, the friendships, the people that you get to meet from around the world, from the different cultures. This is something that brings people and puts them at the same table, whether they come from a university education or whether they have a sixth grade education. It cuts across all barriers. And this officiating also makes you really balanced, in winning and in losing. When you are high up and when you are low down, you'll find out that there is other things to life, and it just makes you a balanced person and see life in perspective. So for me, that's the best things that you can get from refereeing and from officiating.
So here's a problem that I know we're all familiar with. What would you say to the fan in the third row of a youth soccer game who is really driving younger officials away?
I would ask him, do you have a kid? And if somebody is behaving like that towards your kid, your 13, 14, 15-year-old, how do you feel? And this is somebody else's kid. So by this behavior, you are doing what you wouldn't like to be done to you. So please, if you can do better, if you think you have more knowledge, you can do a better job, please become a referee. Get out there, do it. We're open. We will have you with open arms. And until such time that you do this, please behave with civility, kindness, and respect, because what you're doing to this person is not positive. And we're looking for positive behavior.
If you could tell your younger self to do something differently, what would that be?
Oh, the younger self to do something differently. Get into refereeing earlier. Don't wait for an accident. If I wish I could have started it when I was 14 or 15 rather than 24. So I came by accident. If I could have done it a little bit earlier, my God, I could have been to so many more tournaments. Maybe the World Cup final. Who knows?
That was a fantastic answer. So I know in my career working with officials, that's always something I heard as somebody who kind of stumbles across officiating when they're in their 40s and they love it and they go, gosh, I wish I would have known about this sooner, because that, that's something that we're working on, is how do you get more people to know that it's even an option? So that was a great answer. And like you said, don't wait for an accident to happen. Do it earlier. Do it before you have the broken leg. So that's great advice. So the final question for this, and this is really where you're going to help me out, is, we're always looking to recruit new officials. So if you had one opportunity to convince people to become sports officials, what would you tell them?
It is a camaraderie. It's a family that you would not believe until you have entered it. And once you do that, you get to meet people from around the world. You get people from different cultures, different background, different socioeconomic levels. And I give you a couple of my examples. My dentist, my lawyer, I met them through soccer, and then they became people that I could go to and have full trust that I'm in good hands. I don't have to worry, because the level of confidence and the level of friendship establish that, and then you have other things. So in officiating, you get to meet people from all background, from all walks of life, and it's something that lasts for a lifetime.